Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and Assalamu alaikum. Dear students, today's topic is again related to the role of the microbes in human welfare. In our previous lesson, we have seen some of the roles of the microbes which are very important in our daily routine work. We have seen the role of the microbes in the production of the household products. We also discussed the roles of the microbes in the industrial level, and we have seen the roles of the microbes in the production of the antibiotics and the different types of the bioactive molecules. Today we will discuss some other important roles of the microbes in human welfare. So the microbes have the roles in the production of the different type of enzymes, like the lipase enzyme is used in the laundry detergents. Now the pectinase and the protease is also used in the bottle juices. Both pectinase and proteinase have the nutritional value. That's why they are used in the bottle juices. Streptokinase, which is produced by the Streptococcus bacterium, is used as a clot buster to remove the clots. So these are some important types of the enzymes which are used or produced by some kinds of the microbes. Now students, you can see that the microbes have the role in the production of different kinds of the bioactive molecules, like the cyclosporin A, which is produced by the Trichoderma polysporum fungi, and this cyclosporin A is used as immunosuppressive agent for the organ transplant patients. You know that in the patients in where the organ transplantation is necessary, they have to use the cyclosporin or the immunosuppressive agents, because there is always a chance for the organ rejection due to the active immune system. So to suppress the immune system is very necessary in them. So they, throughout the life after the organ transplantation, they have to use the cyclosporin A. Another important type of the bioactive molecule is the statins, which is produced by the Monaskis purpureus yeast. This is used as a blood cholesterol lowering agent. So both kind of the bioactive molecules have role in the you can say the pharmacology or in the medical field. Next, we will see that what is the role of the microbes in the sewage treatment. So the treatment of the wastewater is done by the heterotrophic microbes naturally present in the sewage. So this treatment is carried out in two stages. Number one is the primary treatment, which involves the physical treatments, and the second type of treatment is called the secondary treatment, which involves the biological treatments. So the primary treatment, which involves the physical removal of the particles from the sewage, and the secondary treatment, which involves actually the biological methods, involves the aeration, activated sludge, and the anaerobic sludge digesters. So these are the two types of the treatments. Now we will see the detail of these treatments one by one. First of all, we will see the detail of the primary treatment, which involves the physical treatments. It involves the physical removal of the particles from the sewage through the filtration and the sedimentation. So the sequential filtration to remove the floating debris and the sedimentation to remove the dirt, which involves the soil and the small pebbles. So all the solids that settle from the primary sludge and the supernatant forms the effluent. Effluent from the primary settling tank is taken for the secondary treatment. So after the sequential filtration and the sedimentation, the effluent is sent to the next tank, which is where the secondary treatment is done. Here you're watching the detail or the flow chart for the you can say the water treatment for the removal of the you can say the sewage particles, or the this is the treatment of the sewage water. So first of all, the primary treatment, which involves the physical screening or of the debris, floating debris, and then the sedimentation of the soil particles and the pebble is done in some tanks. After that, this physical treatment, the water is sent to the next tank, which is where the secondary treatment is done, which involves the biological methods. Now we will discuss the details of the secondary treatment, which involves the biological treatments. The primary effluent is passed into the large aeration tank. This allows the vigorous growth of the aerobic microbes into flocks. While growing, these microbes consume the major part of the organic matter in the effluent. Here you're watching this biological treatment in the figure. So this significantly reduces the biochemical oxygen demand of the effluent. So the biochemical oxygen demand is a measure of the organic matter present in the water. The greater the biochemical oxygen demand of the wastewater, more its polluting potential. Once the biological oxygen demand of the sewage water is reduced significantly, the fluid is then passed to the settling tank where the bacterial flocks are allowed to sediment. This sediment is called activated sludge. So here you're watching that how this process of sedimentation of the active sludge is done. Now a small part of this sludge is pumped back into the aeration tank to serve as an inoculum, where these you can say the microbes can again activate the process for the digestion of the organic matter. Then the remaining major part of the sludge is pumped into the large tank called the anaerobic sludge digester. During this digestion, bacteria produce a mixture of the gases such as the methane, hydrogen sulfide, and the carbon dioxide. These gases form the biogas, and the effluent from the secondary treatment plant is generally released into the natural water bodies like rivers and streams. So this is the whole process for the treatment of the sewage water. And you can watch the flow chart for this, both of the treatments, which involves the primary treatment and the secondary treatment. Now we will see that what is the role of the microbes in the production of the biogas. So the biogas is a mixture of the gases produced by the microbial activity and which may be used as fuel. Certain bacteria which grow anaerobically, that means anaerobically means without the presence of oxygen, on the cellulosic material produce the large amount of the methane along with the carbon dioxide and the hydrogen. These bacteria are collectively called the methanogens. These belongs to the extremophile group of the bacteria which can exploit the harsh environmental conditions and can manage without oxygen. So these bacteria are also present in the rumen of the cattle. A lot of cellulosic material present in the food of the cattle is also present in the rumen. In the figure you're watching the rumen, which is the part of the gut of the cattle. In rumen, these bacteria help in the breakdown of the cellulose and play an important role in the nutrition of cattle. Thus, the excrete or the dung of the cattle, commonly called the gobar, is rich in these bacteria. Dung can be used for the generation of the biogas, commonly called the gobar gas. In the figure, students, you can watch the biogas plant. A floating cover is placed over the slurry which keeps on raising as the gas is produced in the tank due to the microbial activity. The biogas plant has an outlet which is connected to a pipe to supply the biogas to nearby houses. The spent slurry is removed through another outlet and may be used as fertilizer. The biogas thus produced is used for the cooking and the lightening purposes. Next, students, we will discuss that how the microbes are used as a biocontrol agents, that they the biological control of the pests and the diseases. So the trichoderma, which is a fungi, protects the roots and control the plant pathogens, and the baculoviruses used to attack the insects and other arthropods. Bacillus species are used to control the wide range of insects. Next, students, we are going to discuss the roles of the microbes as biofertilizers. How they are used as a biofertilizers to increase the fertility of the soil. That the biofertilizers are the organisms that enrich the nutrient quality of the soil. So the main sources of the biofertilizers are the bacteria, fungi, and the cyanobacteria. So the two groups of the bacteria which are either the living in the symbiotic relationship or either in living as a free you can say lifestyle, they can fix the atmospheric molecular nitrogen, which can be readily available for the plants, and they can use this nitrogen for their vigorous growth. First of all, the symbiosis type of the bacteria, which belongs to the genus Rhizobium, are living with the root nodules of the leguminous plants. Here in the figure, you are watching the root nodules of the leguminous plants, which are present in the form of the outgrowths. Here in these nodules, these Rhizobium species of the bacteria are living, and the fixed molecular the nitrogen of the atmosphere for the plants. And next are the free living bacteria, which are called the Azotobacter or the Azospirillum. They are living in the soil, and they also fix the atmospheric nitrogen, and is possible for increasing the nutritional quality of the soil. Next, we will discuss the role of the fungi as a biofertilizer. They are also living in the symbiotic type of relationship with the roots of the higher plants, and this symbiotic relationship is called the mycorrhiza. So mycorrhiza with the root system of the genus Glomus and absorb the phosphorus and water from the soil for the plant growth. Next, we will discuss the role of the cyanobacteria as the biofertilizers. So first of all, we will see what are the symbiotic relationships. This could be in the form of the Anabaena in the azolla. What is the Anabaena? This is a kind of the Streptococcus cyanobacteria, which are living in the roots of the, which are living with the roots of the mosquito fern, which is the genus of the aquatic fern, and is also called the azolla. So next are the free living nostocs like the Oscillatoria and the blue-green alga. They are also used as biofertilizers. So students, this is all about the roles of the microbes in the human welfare. So thank you and Allah Hafiz.